So it's no surprise by now that Attack on Titan is pretty much known for its foreshadowing at this point. I mean, seriously, they have so much foreshadowing throughout the entire series. It's one of the coolest things to see while watching the whole show. With season 4 pretty much coming to an end at this point, there aren't a lot of episodes left, and it's believed that the final few chapters of the actual manga will be turned into a movie for the anime, which means really we don't have a lot of Attack on Titan left. In this video, I'd like to discuss every point of foreshadowing in Attack on Titan that led to season 4, i.e. anything happening in season 4 that was foreshadowed between season 1 and season 3. Most of these foreshadowings are of the actual rumbling itself rather than any events after the rumbling, which is why I'm doing this now rather than waiting for the season to end. So without any further ado, here is all forms of foreshadowing that I could find in Attack on Titan that foreshadowed something in season 4. So this first one is, I'm not really sure if this is in the anime, which is why I'm putting this first, but it is in the manga, so it's a form of foreshadowing that happens around season 1, basically when Eren first joins Levi's little group, and Levi talks about how crazy it is that Eren can transform, and think about all the other possibilities now that he knows a human can turn into a Titan. One of the things he says, which is actually pretty comedic, is, what's next? Titans might rise out of the ground, maybe they'll start raining from the sky. And obviously we know now that in Season 3 Part 2, Titans did rise out of the ground, we know about that. But for the falling from the sky, obviously if you guys have seen the first episode of Season 4, we saw Titans falling from the sky. So that's a little bit of fun little foreshadowing there, nothing really too important to the plot, but still something interesting that was foreshadowed a while back. This next one's actually pretty cool because it was confirmed, I believe, pretty recently. But in Season 3, Part 2, I believe, is when we start to learn about Grisha Yeager's past through Eren's memories that he finds while sleeping in that jail cell. And while we are seeing some few memories of Grisha as a child, and during that scene, he actually bumps into somebody. At first, we don't really think of anything, just a random Eldian, but we actually found out later this was Tom Casaver, or I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who is very vital to the story, specifically Zeke's story, son of Grisha Yeager. So this isn't, again, much foreshadowing as it is just something little fun that we get to see this kid accidentally bump to this guy who later on in the future would be very vital to this guy's whole story. It's funny to see that, like, this guy probably didn't think about this, but the kid he bumped into, he would, like, basically raise that kid's son in a few years and actually get that kid that he bumped into killed, since he told Zeke Yeager to rat out his father and mother. This next one is absolutely crazy, and I'm so surprised I didn't see this. I actually had to see someone explain this because I didn't even realize this happened, that it's foreshadowing, but this is some real crazy foreshadowing. So, in the episode where Eren sees Grisha's memories when he touches Historia's hands, a very vital point to the story as we know now, because that's also sort of foreshadowing, but in that scene we see a few memories of Grisha, and we're supposed to be seeing Grisha's point of view because it's Grisha's memories, and we do see that, right? What Grisha's seeing through his eyes, because that's what Eren's seeing when he touches Historia's hand. But then we see something very interesting. We see Grisha's face in his own memories, and at first you're thinking, well, maybe that's just something to do with the anime, because obviously we're supposed to be seeing his point of view, we're not supposed to be seeing these scenes like it's some sort of scene from an anime, but obviously we know now that this is in fact Eren's perspective of Grisha during that scene in the recent episode of Attack on Titan. Obviously, if you don't know, and I have to explain this again, when Eren is looking at Grisha's memories, he's also seeing his own memories, since Eren from the future sent his memories to Grisha, so Grisha's memories are now like part of future Eren's memories. So when Eren is seeing this, he's also seeing himself, talking to Grisha, and also, manipulating, I wouldn't say manipulating, more like, convincing Grisha to kill the Reese family. So he sees himself in the future talking to Grisha here, and he knows everything he's gonna do. And so this is actually future Eren looking at his father, that at first when we saw this scene we didn't think much of it, but if you really thought about it, it's kind of strange that we saw it. So that was really cool, and I thought that was one of the coolest parts of foreshadowing. So now I'd like to get to the part of the rumbling, some foreshadowings that led to a rumbling. I put this in its own category because there is a lot of foreshadowing to the rumbling actually happening, and most of them is kind of vague, nothing really too serious. So I just picked ones that I thought were pretty interesting foreshadowings that were, actually interesting. The entire Willy Tybur, speech that he gives in that episode is some crazy foreshadowing as to that's going to happen to Eren. Now, if you go back and watch this episode, you might be thinking this is not really that big of foreshadowing because it's just saying stuff, but you have to understand that when you first watched this episode, you didn't know what happened to Eren or what changed him, right? When you're watching this episode, we still don't know how Eren is or what he's doing. We think Eren is the same Eren as the end of Season 3, Part 2, right? That's what we think. We think that's the same thing. So when you're watching this, and you're seeing Willy Tybur call Eren a devil, and that he's going to initiate the rumbling, and he's going to kill everyone, this fiend who stole the power of the Founding Titan from the poor king who wanted peace, you're thinking, that's not true at all. Aaron's a good guy. He would, what are you talking about? He didn't steal the Founding Titan. And then that's foreshadowing because we find out that later on that yes, it was actually Aaron himself who did it. Obviously Aaron convincing Grisha to do it, but that's still, you know, an action done by Aaron. And on top of that, he does in fact initiate the rumbling, something we thought he would never do, especially when you watch this episode for the first time. You're thinking, this is not Aaron. He would never initiate the rumbling and, you know, cause mass genocide. Funny enough, this foreshadowing shows us exactly that he is in fact going to do that. And of course I've saved one of the best for last, and that is the opening and ending of Season 2. Season 2's opening ending are like basically spoilers, honestly. If you don't know, then it's not spoiler, but if you knew a little bit or decided to look a little bit into it, you realize, wow, this is just some crazy spoilers. So obviously I wanted to discuss first the opening of Season 2, because a lot of people don't think this is supposed to represent the rumbling, but I do believe this is foreshadowing of the rumbling. For one, these are titans that are trampling this ground. Obviously that sounds like the rumbling, right? That's the rumbling. But another interesting thing is that besides them just, you know, rummaging and stuff, you can also see a lot of trampling. The red hearts might be the red dots might be indicating the lives being taken. There's a lot of stuff that if you really go into it, you can see that there are a lot of parallels between this and the rumbling done by Eren Yeager. So it's very possible that this is, but it's also possible that it's not any foreshadowing to that. But however, the Season 2 ending is 100% foreshadowing of the rumbling that was to occur. In the Season 2 ending credits, we see a bunch of big giant titans trampling over cities, all in a line, and behind them a giant titan controlling them and making them do this. This is exactly that. This is the rumbling. It's done in a really cool way of basically like how ancient people might have predicted what the rumbling would look like, right? It's like when you hear what the rumbling is, maybe the people in Marley drew this up, right? Or like carved this into some wall of what the rumbling may look like, because to them, they didn't really know what Colossal Titans will look like, or that the fact that the rumbling would be done by Colossal Titans. They just thought it'd be done by giant titans, and so it's fun to see them draw these huge pure titans doing it, and the leader being a giant titan himself, considering that King Fritz, or Karl Fritz, whatever you want to call him, was a giant titan. If you remember, we did get to see a little bit of how Karl Fritz's titan looks, and it's a giant thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Karl Fritz had one of the biggest titans, probably as big as the original Founding Titan. We just know it had really lanky arms, like skinny, lanky arms, kind of looking like the Colossal Titan, but also just a big head and big torso. So it's interesting to see this whole ending. I highly encourage you guys to go watch it for yourself after, you know, knowing about everything in Season 4. It's very cool to see. We also obviously see the king making Ymir's children eat Ymir, which is another spoiler that is foreshadowed in this. So that was pretty cool. I love to see that. And so yeah, guys, that's basically all the foreshadowing I could find in Attack on Titan Season 4 and everything that led to Season 4. Obviously the scene's not done yet. There could be more foreshadowing. I know that there is a foreshadowing of the ending of Attack on Titan in Season 1. Yeah, I'm not going to say what it is, obviously, because then you'd get spoiled, but I'm just going to say there is in fact foreshadowing for the ending in Season 1. And I'm not going to say where, not going to say when, but it's super cool, and I can't wait for the ending to come out so I can explain the whole thing, because it's really cool. But I'm just saying that to tell you that there is a lot of foreshadowing in this show that we might even not even see, that you might not even have noticed, but it's always there. And so this show is just so cool, and I always love to see that. Again, thank you so much for watching. New video will be coming soon. I kind of worked on this video for a long time, so this is kind of what I'm doing right now. So I don't even know what the next video is going to be, but enough about that. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.